gave you $1 million today to buy property in Dubai, there's a real good chance you'd buy in the wrong area. And 2 or 3 years from now, you'd be sitting on an asset that's doing nothing, while investors who bought down the road are sitting on a 25% equity gains. I manage portfolios for investors deploying 6- and 7-figure investments into Dubai. And I've watched this pattern play out dozens of times. Experienced investors who've done their diligence, and they still end up locking their capital into an area that's completely mismatched to their goal. So to prevent that happening to you, I'm going to rank every Dubai area from best to worst based on the current market and show you what you need to know before you place a deposit on anything. So now that we've cleared that, let's start with the danger list, because if you get this wrong, nothing else in this video matters. What most people get wrong: they hear that an area is popular and assume it must be a good investment. Or they see a decent rental yield today and assume that will hold long term. Saturation zones are areas where thousands of similar units are being delivered at the same time, mostly studios and standard one-bed apartments with very little differentiation. You see this clearly in places like Jumeirah Village Circle and parts of Business Bay. These areas aren't bad places to live. They're busy, central, and well known. The problem is the supply. When you own a standard one bed in JVC or an older tower in Business Bay, you're competing against dozens, sometimes hundreds, of nearly identical listings in the same postcode. That creates 2 problems. First, tenants have all the power. If you don't drop your rent, they'll just move next door. Second, your exit becomes weak. In slower markets, generic units in high supply areas are always the first to discount and the last to sell. That's why you'll often see yields that look acceptable on paper, around 6 to 7%, but capital growth that goes sideways once supply peaks. This is also why I don't call them bad areas. They can be great places to live. They're just hard places to invest if you're buying something average. If you're buying in a high-density area, never buy something average. If you can't explain why a tenant would pick your unit over 10 others nearby, you're already in trouble.